And most people would say that the 80s were incredible, and no doubt they were, if you had money. There was a lot of great franchises that came out, and turning on the TV, watching Masters of the Universe, and then watching all the ads for all the incredible toys that would come out. I mean, there was Masters of the Universe, there was G.I. Joes, then came Thundercats, Wheeled Warriors, Silverhawks, Centurions, you name it. There was just so many great toys. The bad thing though was that growing up poor, my parents really didn't have money for those kinds of toys. And I remember going to the department stores and they'd have a whole section of Masters of the Universe, all the latest figures, Transformers and G.I. Joes, and I just remember always wanting those. I mean, I can't say I didn't have any toys. I always had things to play with, and I always had my imagination, which is, I think, one of the things that has really helped me in life. And I had soldiers, plastic soldiers, I had marbles. And what I would do at times was I'd cut out the Masters of the Universe ads, and I'd have all these little cutouts of my favorite action figures. I mean, they were about this, super tiny, and I had them all stuffed in an envelope, and that's how I would play. That's how I would, that's how I filled the void, if you will. But then also, I'd play with my toy soldiers, and I had little animals, and I would pretend that these little soldiers were G.I. Joes or He-Man and Skeletor and Beastman and Triclops and all those great characters. Those are around the early years when I was probably in around first, second grade. And around that time was particularly rough too, because my parents were just about to divorce, and they ultimately did. So my mother took custody of us, and it wasn't until about maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, when my father fought for custody for us and eventually received custody of us, we went to live with my aunt, his sister. And I'll never forget our first Christmas there. I remember, they had us fill out our Santa wish list, which I had never done before. And I remember I said, I want He-Man. And that's all I put. And lo and behold, I woke up Christmas morning, and there was a He-Man and Battle Cat playset, which my uncle had so graciously provided me with. And it was one of the most touching moments of my life, because, that was the first time I ever received a He-Man action figure. There was no better toy at that time. He-Man and Battle Cat, Cringer. It was just awesome. So after my parents were divorced, and we moved in with my father, we would go spend weekends with my mother. One time, so I'm in the restroom and I see my father's pants in there, and I realize he had some money in there. I grabbed the $20 bill, and so the following day I went with my mother. I said if she took me to the mall, I'd buy her a hamburger, and she obliged. And so we went to the mall, and I treated her to a Western bacon cheeseburger from Carl's Jr., and I had one myself because I had always wanted to try one. And then after I went to KB Toys. So I bought myself these Return of the Jedi 3-packs. I bought myself a Serpentor, and I bought myself a G.I. Joe Hydro Sled. And I remember I played all weekend long. I was there with my mother, and I had such a great time. And then I wanted to take them home with my dad, but then my mother said that wouldn't be a good idea, because then he'd ask where I got the money to get those. And so they stayed with her, and those were the toys I would play with every time I'd go visit her.